name's Jeff Leake. I'm the lead pastor here at Allison Park Church, and wherever you're joining us from, I just want to say welcome. So one of our 4 locations, or the God Behind Bars location, we're so glad you're joining us. Why don't you give it up for them? We want to welcome you. And then those joining us online, we're so glad you're part of the service today. If I haven't yet met you, I hope I have a chance to get to do so soon. And we're going to start a brand new series today. And let me tell you a little bit about the series and why we landed on this for the month of May. So there is technology now available to us that we can actually learn what people are typing into the Google search bar. And actually, you can zoom in on your local area. So Allegheny County, Butler County, Beaver County, we can actually find out what are the most asked questions. And we did this research a couple of months ago, and we discovered, I was actually surprised to find that people were asking a lot of questions about their emotional life. So the biggest question was, what do I do to deal with my shame? That's a pretty profound question to be asking. Or how do I deal with my fear and anxiety? How do I process my doubts? What do I do with my depression? So we understand the stats of mental health in the United States, that it's becoming more and more of an issue. And so we thought, okay, since this is what people are asking, we should probably address some of these questions from a biblical perspective so that we can receive the help from the Lord in this area as well. So we're going to call the series Emotional Roller Coaster. How many of you would ever say you have ridden that one right there? Okay, yeah, of course we have. You know, it's ups and downs and all arounds, right? It is turns and twists, and one moment it feels great, and the next moment it doesn't. And there's all kinds of reasons for emotional, ups and downs and roller coaster moments, right? I often say our emotional life is a lot like turning on the garden hose with no one else holding the other end. It's just like this. It's random and it's all over the place, and sometimes you can trace it and sometimes you can't. Now, I'm just going to say, we're not going to try to false advertise here and say we will solve all of your emotional issues for the rest of your life in the next 5 weeks. Like, that's overselling it, right? And we also realize that it isn't just spiritual things what we're dealing with, emotional and mental health. There are all kinds of contributors. There's physiological issues. There's relational issues. There are ways that we think, right, about our lives that affect things. And then there is a spiritual root to a lot of problems. And if we address things at the spiritual level, oftentimes it affects everything else. So we're going to deal with that part since that's our assignment. We're going to talk from the scriptures about this whole idea of emotional health. So just for a moment, just turn to your neighbor and say, you can get off the roller coaster if you want. Come on, just... Wouldn't you like that to be true, right? No, it is just a part of our journey. Okay. First topic was the top question asked, and that is, what do I do with my shame? That is a heavy question right there. And so let's borrow a definition from an author and speaker right now who writes a lot about this. Her name's Brené Brown. And here's what she defines shame as. If you can give me the back screen as well, guys. Shame is the intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love, belonging, and connection. Shame is the fear of disconnection. It's the fear that we've done it's the fear that something we've done or failed to do, or an ideal that we've not lived up to, or a goal that we've not accomplished makes us somehow unworthy, where we then start to believe I'm unworthy, I'm unlovable, I don't belong, okay? So you get the feeling for this. Okay, there is a difference between guilt and shame. Oftentimes we associate guilt and shame together. Guilt is feeling bad about what I've done. Shame is feeling bad about who I am, right? So guilt is, I wish I hadn't done that. I'm going to repair this thing I did. Shame is, something's wrong here, right? It is that feeling of being flawed and unlovable, and therefore the desire to hide so that we are not rejected because we feel like maybe we're exposed and don't belong. So everybody on earth deals with the emotion of shame. And I was actually searching my mind to come up with when I probably first experienced this, or at least the memory that I have of it anyway. So it was in first grade. Let me give you the background. I was a first grader at University Park Elementary School in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. And we were on our way from our classroom to the gym class. So we were headed to the gymatorium. You know, we ate and did all of our gym in there. And so we were on our way. Can you see little Jeff Leake, cute little Jeff Leake? He's 6 years old, and he's in a line, right, with all the other kids, and we're walking towards the gym. And we paused by the bathrooms, and I'll never forget my teacher saying this. She said, "Now is the time to go to the bathroom. If you have to go, go now, because when we get in there, we're not going to stop and go." So I didn't have to go that bad at that particular moment. But when we got into the gym class, and as soon as I got in there, I had to pee, okay? And we were doing this kind of exercise. Have you done this before or seen this? We had a parachute, and we all gathered around the parachute, and we were holding our end, and we were lifting it and putting it back down. And this is not good for a full bladder. So, you know, we're going up and down, and all of a sudden I felt something warm going down my leg. And there was a little puddle of yellow on the floor. And eventually one of my buddies in class said, "Look, he peed himself." And everybody laughed and pointed, and the teacher grabbed my hand and ran me to the principal's office and called my mom, and my mom had to come and pick me up so I could get a change of clothes. And I'll never forget sitting in the principal's office with my pants soaking wet, thinking all kinds of things like, oh man, I can't believe I could never come back to the school, right? Like, everybody saw me pee myself. And you know, and then we're driving home, and my mom says to me, "What were you thinking?" And I was like, "I don't know what I was thinking. She told me I couldn't go to the bathroom." But you know, then, okay, listen, it's those moments of humiliation and embarrassment and exposure that often not just make us feel bad about this moment that happened in my life. Obviously, it was significant. I still remember it all these years later. But we also start to ask other questions, like, maybe something wrong with me. Maybe I'm different from all the other kids. Maybe the reason why I do things like this is because I'm broken. I can't let anyone see what's happening. And my mom and my teachers handled it perfectly. They said, "Don't worry about it. Everybody makes mistakes. It's okay. We love you." But if I had a different parent who at that moment had said, "See how stupid you are? You're an embarrassment to me," like those words would have driven that into me in a deeper way. And probably many of you can tell a story like that. And so that has a way of marking us because of what we have questions about regarding ourselves. Now, that compounds in life because there are embarrassing moments that are kind of innocent like that make us wonder about ourselves. And then we have other people who've said things about us, maybe not even true things about us, but they have demeaned us and put us down and called us names, and we carry around, maybe they were right, this is an authority figure in my life, how do I process this? And then you compound that with failings that we have in our own life, stuff that we've done that we're ashamed of, that we don't want anyone to know. It's the things that we hide because, listen, God may know and we know, but nobody else should know because we feel so bad about betraying someone or doing something or participating in something. And so there's shame that comes from that as well. And then I think we could layer on top of that, there's another level, and that is sometimes when you've been the victim of something and someone has done something to you and you really had nothing to do with it. It just happened to you. But I've talked to a lot of people who've walked through journeys like this, and they say, this thing made me wonder, what's wrong with me that I let this happen? Right? And so there's often a shame that a victim of some kind of abuse carries as well. And so there is a reason why people are sitting in front of their computers and typing into their search bar, what do I do with these feelings of shame? Because it's a universal feeling and it's compounded through life, and it's a deep question that needs to be addressed. Now, I want to take you to the scriptures because the gospel of Jesus actually provides an answer or a cure for this. And it provides a way for us to think about it, and something we can experience with God that can set us free. But to get there, we need to start at the very beginning.